Greetings, boys and girls. In today's video, we are going to be solving more problems involving money. Real life skill here, because math is real life. Let's get right into it. Now, in the first problems, we see 26 times $44. So it's just a regular multiplication problem. I can solve it in different approaches. I'm going to use the box method for this one because I just like the box method using partial products. So I'm breaking 26 into 20 plus 6, and I'm breaking 44 into 40 plus 4. Okay, in the first box I'm multiplying 20 times 40, which is going to give me 800 because that's like 2 times 4, which is 8, and then I add my 2 zeros to the end. The second box I'm multiplying 6 times 40, which is like 6 times 4, which equals 24, and I add 1 zero to the end. In the third box, I am multiplying 20 times 4, which is like 2 times 4, and that's 8, and I add 1 zero to the end. In the final box, I'm multiplying 6 times 4, which is pretty basic. It's just 24. Now I'm going to add all of my partial products up. 800 plus 240 plus 80 plus 24. Right, I start on the right, and 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. Carry my 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. So I'd get 1,144. But don't forget, I was multiplying money, so I just add my dollar sign. So $1,144. Okay? Press pause on the video if you need to catch up with what I did. Otherwise, we're going to now move on to this division problem. So I'm dividing $318 into 6. Seeing how many times 6 goes into $318. So I'm going to set this up like a regular division problem. I'm seeing how many times 6 goes into 318. I first ask myself, how many times does 6 go into 3? It can't, so I can sit here and subtract out a 0. And I'd have 3. Next thing, I bring down my 1. 6 goes into 31 how many times? It goes in there 5 times. The actual multiple is 30. 6 times 5 is 30. Now I subtract 31 minus 30. That's 1. And then I bring down my 8. How many times does 6 go into 18? Ooh, that's a nice one. That's actually a multiple of 6, which is 3 times. So 6 times 3 is 18, so I'll subtract out 18. 18 minus 18 is 0. I have nothing left over, and there's nothing else to bring down, so my answer is 53. Well, I'm not going to keep it as 053. I'm going to actually write $53 because remember, I had a dollar sign. I was dividing that money into 6 groups. So $53 is going to go in each group. Boys and girls, press the pause if you need some time to catch up. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next problem. In number 5, we're doing another division problem, still talking about money, and I'm saying how many times does 5 go into $7,640? Okay, so how many times does 5 go into 7? I start with the first digit. It goes in 1 time. And 5 times 1 is 5, so I write the actual multiple underneath 7. 7 minus 5 would be 2. Now I can bring down. How many times does 5 go into 26? I ask myself. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Well, it goes in 5 times. So I write the 5 up top. I tried to write it above the 6. And then I write the actual multiple under 26. So that was 25. Then I subtract. 26 minus 25 is 1. Then I bring down. Super important step. I brought down the 4. Now when I bring down the 4, I start the whole process over. I go back to asking myself, how many times does 5 go into 14? Well, it goes in 2 times. Because if I said 3, that would be past the 14. So it goes in 2 times. I'm going to write 10 down below. Then I subtract. 14 minus 10 is 4. Alrighty. After I subtract, the next step is to bring down. I bring down the very next digit, which is a 0. Start the process over. I ask myself, self, how many times is 5 going to 40? And then myself responds, hey, 5 goes into 40 8 times, because 5 times 8 equals 40. So I write my 8 up top. Then, underneath, I write 40. After writing the actual multiple below, I subtract. 40 minus 40 is 0. Well, look at that. I have nothing left over, and there's nothing else to bring down, so I can stop. But wait, I got to make sure I put my dollar sign on my answer. My answer is $1,528. Okay, let me give you a moment to get that solved. And then we're going to do the last of these problems where there are no words to them. And we're multiplying 6 times $1,336. So I want to stack this problem up in a way that will make it easy to multiply. I know my answer is going to have a dollar sign. So now this is pretty straightforward. 6 times 6 is 36, carry my 3. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 3 would make it 21. I put my 1 down below, and I carry my 2. Now I'm looking at 3 times 6, which is 18 again, but this time I add 2. 18 plus 2 is 20. I write my 0 down below and carry my 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So my answer would be $8,016. All right, take a moment and jot that down if you have not already. Okay, if you still need some more time, press pause on the video. Otherwise, we're going to look at a problem from a test. Actually, we're looking at a regular problem first. Keira rented a car for 3 days. She paid $118 rent each day. Insurance for the 3 days came to a total of $35. How much did she pay in all? Then they want us to explain how we found our answer. So it's interesting, they're asking us, how much does she pay in all? This seems like I'm going to be adding some amounts together. So I know she pays rent for the car, and I know she also pays insurance for the car. So I'm going to have to figure out how much each of those was and then add them together. So I'm going back to the problem. She rented a car for 3 days. She paid $118 rent each day. All right, so I'm thinking 118 each day for 3 days. That is the same thing as saying $118 times 3. So let's calculate that to see how much she paid in rent. 3 times 8 is 24. Carry my 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 would be 5. And then 3 times 1 is 3. So she spent $354 just in the rent for the vehicle. But it also says she had insurance. Let's keep reading. Insurance for the 3 days came to a total of $35. So they are giving us the total amount she paid for insurance. They're not breaking insurance down into each day. So I don't really have to do another computation to write the insurance down. That's $35. Now, to figure out how much she paid in all, I need to add the rent plus the insurance. Okay, so I see that the rent was $354 and the insurance was $35. So I'm going to add these two dollar amounts together to get how much she paid in all. All right, 4 plus 5 would be 9. 5 plus 3 would be 8. 3 plus nothing would be 3. So she spent a total of $389 to rent this car for 3 days. I know some of you are thinking, that's a lot of money. But that's how car rentals go sometimes. All right, now we need to explain how we found our answer. All right, I simply wrote down what we did. I found my answer by multiplying 3 by $118 to see how much she spent for the rent. Then I added $35 to my product for insurance. She spent $389 in all. This is probably one of those times when you're going to want to press pause on the video so that you can jot that down. All right, now the next problem is actually a test question. And I can see how many people could get this wrong. This is one of those where you can make a silly computation error if you don't keep practicing subtraction and addition. So Enrique bought a football and a puzzle. So the first thing I want to pay attention to is the fact that he bought two things, a picture and a puzzle. Well, I know he paid $15.35 for the football, and then I know the total amount he spent. He spent a total of $24.02 for the football and the puzzle. But I don't know how much he paid for the puzzle. That's what I have to figure out in dollars and cents. All right. So I know he bought one item and another item, and together they cost $24.02. To figure out how much the puzzle was, I can subtract. So this is one of those times that I want to really do a good job at lining up my numbers. $24.02, and I'm going to subtract from it $15.35. Now I'm going to tell you where many people made a mistake. They made a mistake in this first step. 2 minus 5, I can't do that because I have 2, I don't have a whole 5. I go next door and there's a 0. So I have to go again to the next place. So that 4 becomes a 3 and the 0 becomes a 9. It's pretty much like looking at it as 40 and taking 1 away from 40. So now I can have 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. 9 minus 3 is 6. Bring down my decimal point. 3 minus 5, I can't do that. I come next door, make that a 1, and I make 3 a 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. 1 minus nothing is 0. So $8.67. The area most people would have made a mistake was right in here. Some people would have just wanted to only take, they would look at that 2, say I can't do it. They'd come over to the 0 and say, oh, I got to take something from there. They might make that a 10, or they may even go next door and make the 4 something else, but they forget to change this 9, that 0 into a 9. Okay, so that's a super important step. Go ahead and jot this down. You may want to press pause on the video. All right, we're looking at number 17. Jerome has a balance of $63.45 in his checking account. So that means that's how much is in his bank account right now. he takes out or withdraws $38.14 to buy a computer game. So he no longer has that $38.14. What is his checking account balance now? So he's withdrawing, he's taking that money out, so I know I'm subtracting. So I'm going to take my $63.45 and I'm going to subtract from it the amount he spent on this video game. $38.14. Alright, 5 minus 4 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. Bring my decimal down. 3 minus 8, I can't do that. So I go next door to the 6. I make that a 5. And the 3 becomes a 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. So he should have $25.31 remaining in his bank account. That is answer choice B. Make sure you show your work as you do these problems, because it really doesn't make sense to just watch the video of them being done. You want to do them as well so you get practice and you don't forget these skills. Alright, we just have a couple of more problems. Let's look at number 18. Serena buys 3 t-shirts at $12 each and 2 pairs of sandals at $24 each. How much does she spend? Okay, so let's look at what she bought. I see this word and. 3 t-shirts for $12 each, 2 pairs of sandals for $24 each. So I know she's buying t-shirts plus she's buying sandals. And if I add those two amounts together, that will tell me the total that she spends. Okay? They ask me how much does she spend, so that'll help me with the total. Alright, t-shirts. 3 at $12 each. So that's like saying 3 times $12, which is the same thing as 3 times 12, which equals 36. And I just add my dollar sign. She spent $36 on the t-shirts. Now the sandals, she got 2 pair at $24 each. So I know I'm doing 2 times 24. Some of you guys are going to be able to do that in your head. Some people are going to need to multiply it. So whatever works for you, 24 times 2, I want to write it underneath. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. So she's going to spend 48 on the sandals. So now I have to do something with these amounts. I'm going to add the t-shirt price and the sandal price. So I'm adding 36 plus $48. 6 plus 8 is 14. Carry my 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. Plus 4 is 8. 84 is how much she spent on the t-shirts and the sandals. Okay, we're going to look at one more problem together. Remember, if you need to press pause in this video, please do so. 19. Ken had a balance of $1,150 in his checking account. He withdrew or took out. Remember, withdraw, that means to take out. If you're withdrawing, you're taking it out. So he spent some money, $85.35, to buy groceries. 1 week later, he deposited or he put money in to his bank account. It was actually $250. Okay? So when he withdraws, he's taking away. When he deposits, he's adding. And they're asking us, what is the balance of his checking account now? Whew, a lot of steps in this problem. First thing I want to do is I want to see what, and this is a problem that you can solve in more than one way. These are not the only steps. But I'm going to go sequentially with this guy. So he starts with $1,150. And then he's going to subtract from that $85.35. I hope you're noticing that we're going to be subtracting across the zeros. Okay, let me add my dollar sign. Alrighty. So now I'm subtracting these amounts. I've lined them up. My decimals are on top of each other. I put my decimal in the answer. And now I'm starting on the right. 0 minus 5. I cannot do that. So I'm going till I find a number that I can work with. Because there was a 0 here and another 0. I wasn't going to be able to take anything from those. So I'm looking at this whole amount of 500. I'm going to take 1 away from 500, which is going to be 499. And now I can make this first 0 a 10. Now I can say, what is 10 minus 5? Well, that's 5. What's 9 minus 3? 6. 9 minus 5? That's 4. 4 minus 8, I can't do that. I take 1 away from there. That becomes a 0. And now I'm looking at 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 0 minus nothing is 0. 1 minus nothing is 1. So my final, is this my final answer? I just took away this withdrawal. That's not my final answer. But I do have $1,064.65. Now I'm going to add the $250 to that because he's going to put that in his account. So I'm just going to simply add $250. I want to line these up. If I didn't line things up and pay attention to my decimal point, my answer would be completely off. Now I'm going to add these amounts. 5 plus 0 is 5. 6 plus 0 is 6. Bring my decimal point down. 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry my 1. 1 plus 0 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus nothing is 1. So I get a final answer after he took money out and then put money back in of $1,314.65. So even though he spent money, he ended up with more money. And look, that makes sense because he only spent less than $100, but then he deposited more than $200 back into his account. So I would look for that answer choice, which is answer choice A, $1,314.65. Boys and girls, you are going to finish that packet. You're going to finish the other questions. There were a few that I skipped, just 3. You want to take this time and just refresh your memory on how to do that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until we meet again, take care.